something I'm so passionate about. We've created a really toxic sort of bubble in the industry. I think for a long time going into film, I really had this idea in my head that I had to deliver. It was really, really hard. It was really hard. That fear of making the wrong choice and therefore losing out on the opportunity that we have. And that's a killer for your script. If you can't actually describe to someone what your script is, how on earth are they gonna trust you enough to buy it? Make the choice. Be strong, be wrong, who cares? There was a really specific moment that happened, and I do very much have one person to thank for it. This was probably the hardest thing I've heard from another person, but really a game changer for my life. My one physical movement teacher, Vincent Manna, he sat me down and he very gently told me.
Before we get into this interview, if you could hit the subscribe button, I would appreciate it so much. It helps us out a lot and it doesn't cost you a damn thing. I always like to start at the beginning of how you got into acting.
The short answer is I was a kind of weird kid who didn't know where I fit in. And I went to a high school in a new town, had to make some new friends, and the first person I made friends with went, "Want to come to a theater with me tonight?" And I went, "Yes, please."
No way.
Yes, please, dear God. And it was an improv class. I walked in the door, I was 12. I was 12, so freshly at that age where you're like really starting to hate yourself. And I walked in the door of this improv group and we were playing the game This Is a Box. And the whole time, I just had the recurring thought of how embarrassing this was and how embarrassed everyone should be. And then it got to me. And instantly my brain went, this is the greatest thing I've ever done. I'm a creative genius. I'm the funniest person who's ever lived. And I never stopped going.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. Where did you move from and to?
I'm from Acton, Ontario.
Okay.
And I lived there until I went to university, but I switched to Georgetown High School when I got into high school.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice.
They did the IB program and I did that.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't know why I did that, but I did that.
That's amazing.
It was a time. It was great.
And then after high school, what did you do? What was your plan after high school?
I had no plan. The problem was I had 57 plans and I didn't know what I knew what I wanted, but I was really stuck in a battle of what I wanted and kind of what other people wanted for me. Not what was expected of me, but what other people saw and envisioned and hoped for me very much.
Stability.
Yeah, stability, a real job,
Right.
Yeah, maybe a 9 to 5 and like some time off every so often.
Security.
Yeah,
comfort.
the things that most parents want for their children. But I applied to a different program at every university I applied to.
No way.
And yeah, I applied to 3 acting programs. One of which was Juilliard, which I'm so glad I didn't get into because I was not mentally prepared to be in a conservatory style program. But I got into a lot of the schools I'd applied to and got into the University of Alberta for their drama program. And my appeal for that school was that they had, at the time, I think still, the only voice pedagogy master's program in North America.
Wow.
And I really loved doing voices, accents, all of that. So I kind of had again, semblance of a plan that I was gonna go to the U of A, I was gonna do their general drama program, also study language, and then get into a master's in dialects, essentially. But
Amazing.
That latter half of that didn't happen. I did end up going to the U of A for drama though. Mm-hmm.
Nice, that's wicked.
I'm pretty sure my mother will never forgive me for not going to Carleton for journalism, but that can be my next degree.
I mean, it's working out for you.
It's been okay.
Right?
It hasn't been terrible.
It hasn't
been bad. I've been very lucky.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And when you were applying to schools and you were applying to so many, were you hoping that like one would say yes, so like the answer was pretty clear, or you were just leaning towards Alberta?
I was really hoping that someone was going to say yes and give me a lot of money.
Oh yeah, that's fair.
And to be fair, a couple of them did, but part of the appeal of the University of Alberta was it felt like a fresh start for me, and I am very much a fresh start person, to a fault. I've moved around a lot. Changing schools when I went to high school had an impact for me because it allowed me to really decide who I wanted to be and kind of let certain things go and not define me anymore. So the idea of moving to a different province, going somewhere that felt so astronomically far away, even though realistically it isn't that far. I mean, I guess for Canadians it isn't that far, but for the rest of the world, that's pretty far.
Yeah.
When I lived in England, people were like, you would just go 3 hours and drive to Calgary from Edmonton? Yeah, people do.
People do.
But university in Alberta was cheaper. It's less expensive out there, and I got scholarships, so I figured, I can do what I want to do in a way that makes people feel kind of comfortable, because I have this plan of a master's in something very particular after, and that'll be great for everyone, and I won't have to spend money, and it'll be amazing.
Right?
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, I get what you mean by like moving and just like reinventing yourself kind of thing, because I find it so hard when you're growing up with like the same group of people. You're like, and we're changing, and like different personalities, and can I grow around you, or are you going to hold me to yesterday's standard, that kind of thing. So reinventing is definitely is really nice.
It is. And I'd been in French immersion my whole life, so the class size was especially tiny. I was in the same class with the same 14 people for 8 years.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And then even in high school, I think there were 14 of us, maybe 15 again.
Damn.
So it just
you just know each other real well.
Yeah.
And you're like...
And then, of course, I went to a drama department, which had like 20 people in it. So, I just kept it small the whole time.
Yeah.
I was like, this isn't working for me. Let's keep doing it.
Living in
insanity. It's fine. It's fine.
That's amazing. And then when did you go to the UK for school?
I went in 2017 and came back like at the very end of 2019. But I took a year off after my undergrad to save up to do my master's degree, because at that point I had one teacher in university who kind of told me, you should, I know you're not leaning towards being an actor, because I was doing a lot of producing. I was the artistic director of a theater festival. I was directing, I was designing, and I had one teacher who went, you should really be an actor. You want to be an actor. You should be an actor. And there was a school I'd always, since I was like 12, wanted to go to, and a specific program that really appealed to me. And so I kind of decided I was going to go to that school, took a year off, didn't do any acting for that year. Still worked with a couple festivals, but just saved up every penny that I earned, and then somehow got in and moved. So it worked out, but yeah.
That's amazing. Good for you. Did you have to get a visa to?
I did.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's so...
Well, see, they make it actually quite easy for Canadians.
Really?
If you're under 30, they offer specifically for work opportunities, for school, for all of that. If you're under 30, if you were part of the Commonwealth still, it's quite easy to get a visa.
Okay, fair.
Yeah, but it's only for 2 years at a time, and you can only renew the visa a certain number of times, I believe, and up until you're 30. After that, you have to apply for a different type.
Okay. So if you're under 30, get on it. Do those plans. Make those dreams come true.
Go to the UK. It's basically the same price as Toronto at this point.
I was gonna say, I was like, there's no difference really.
Used to be more expensive, but now.
Yeah, and now we pretty well evened out.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So how long is that program there?
The program I did was 1 year.
Okay, nice.
I was given the opportunity to choose between a 2-year program and a 1 year, but the 2-year program at that point was not an accredited master's degree, so there was no funding available, and my year off from the industry only afforded me enough money to go for 1 year and pay tuition for 1 year, so I just ended up doing a 1-year master's.
Nice.
I did a 1-year master's degree in classical theater. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It was really hard. It was really hard. I think people don't realize how hard theater school can be. I mean, mentally, and that's a conversation we've been having for a while that we should continue having, is the way that theater school really affects people's psyche and view of themselves and all that. But even just the hours, the amount of work, the expectation you set on yourself, the attitudes of people around you can have such an impact on what it is you're doing. Theater school can be really hard, but it was very worth it.
Amazing. And what do you find, because everybody knows that the UK just pumps out really good actors all the time. Was there a difference in the training style or the work ethic that you notice between Canada and the UK?
Yeah, I think the main thing there is because their industry is so much older, and really art there is respected as an industry and a part of their culture and society and all that, as it is in so many other countries that are older.
Yeah, that's fair.
Canada. But I think they've really honed their practice, and in the UK, there's less of a line between theater and film. In North America, it really feels like people feel the need to put themselves in a box of, I'm a film actor, I'm a theater actor, I went to theater school, so I'm a theater actor, I'm a comic actor.
Right.
And in the UK, you're an actor. Acting is acting. Yes, there are different technical requirements that you have to keep in mind in different circumstances, scenarios. But in the UK, I found they taught a very wide range of methodologies. And it was encouraged for you to fully explore all of them, not to master all of them, but to really arm yourself and equip yourself with a robust tool belt that would allow you to whip out whatever methodologies worked for you at a given point in time, develop your own process. I guess that's really what it was. It didn't feel so much like your process is wrong, you need to have our process. It felt more like you don't really have a process and you should.
Yeah.
So let's help with that. Here are some tools, please try them. Let's see what works.
Amazing. Yeah, that's so, because that is one thing that you hear a lot about theater school is that they just stifle your creativity or your process or whatever, and they try to stick you into, okay, this is how we do things, this is how it's done, it's how it's been done, and this is how it will be forever. And you're like, no.
Well, and it feels so silly to say in a way, because I'm sure in the UK there's so many people that probably aren't happy with the way that the industry functions. But to me, coming from Canada, there's so much I love in the Canadian industry. And having been in Edmonton, it has its own theater industry there that is extremely vibrant and exciting. But having the opportunity to go to the UK and, email the National Theatre, just cold email the National Theatre and ask to audition for a Hadestown and have them be like, yeah, okay, come on, yeah, sure. Why not? Come audition.
That would never happen here.
No, it really doesn't feel like it does. But there, it very much, to me at least, felt like in the school environment. And don't get me wrong, I did have a couple professors that were like, no, this is how you act. That was stupid. That wasn't in the script. You're an imbecile.
Right.
That still happened. But I had a lot of tutors and teachers there that really allowed me to explore who I was as an actor, and were the first people there to go, okay, I think you're doing this because you feel like you have to be doing this and it's not working for you, so do something else. Not in terms of career, but
in terms of like
tools
technique and tools. Nice. I like that. Yeah, that's so, it sounds different than a lot of the stories that I hear about the theater school here.
And I mean, like, I didn't go to theater school here, so I can't fully say, but I do know the University of Alberta, the way that it works is you, at least at the time, it has since changed, but you started in a general stream and you could audition for the BFA program.
Okay.
And I did in my first year, because it felt like that was what you had to do. And I don't know enough about the program to necessarily judge how acting was taught there, because again, half the teachers, that one professor was the reason I am an actor. He is still one of my greatest supporters to this day. There are amazing teachers there, and it seems like a great program, but I did watch people that I was friends with kind of start to lose their sense of self as an artist and as a person, trying to fit into very, very specific molds. And seeing the way that it would destroy people when, they get to their final productions and you don't get the lead role, and then the next time you don't get the lead role, and then the next time you still aren't getting the lead role, even though you've been told it's going to be equitable casting. And then by the end of the year, one person in the class has had the lead in every production and you haven't had any. And I had friends that are incredible actors that did theater programs, started out so confident and left absolutely shattered. And a lot of them, and I mean, the same thing happened at the school I went to. Yeah, there were people in my master's degree that are no longer acting because the program also allowed them the opportunity to go, okay, this is what the work actually is. This isn't what I want.
Right.
Which can be a benefit, a detriment, depends how you process it. But Yeah, I feel like my general sense of theater schools here and why I was particularly attracted to going over there was because I wanted the space and needed at the time the permission to discover who I was as an actor.
Nice. And when you were, before this teacher told you you should be acting and you were doing all of these other things, is that because you were loving doing those things and that's where you thought you were headed, or do you think it was just avoiding the acting?
It definitely wasn't avoiding the acting. It was more, I can be a little bit impatient with things, and I like things to be done certain ways sometimes.
That's fair. That's
And
fair.
so I started getting involved in certain festivals, and then I started going, why aren't people reading these emails? And then I started becoming the annoying person who would follow up to be like, are you reading the emails? Because I don't think you're reading the emails, because the information was very clearly laid out and you don't seem to know any of the information you need. And somehow it just became, do you want to be in charge of this? Because you seem
You
to
seem
be
really
trying
good at
to.
this.
And you seem to not care if people like you. So please be the person that yells at people.
That's so funny.
But it was great. I learned a lot of skills. So it was something I enjoyed, but it was more I enjoyed the satisfaction of the end result as opposed to the process. Whereas as an actor, I've always enjoyed the process a lot more than the end result.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the process is 90% of it, especially when you're doing film.
Yes. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
And so, if they paid the same, do you like theater or film more?
I like theater more.
Yes.
I like theater more. Look, I think there's something so breathtakingly human about theater, because you're being asked to do something impossible, which is suspend your disbelief and let time fade away while you partake in a sort of group experience activity moment in time. And that is any sort of live performance, really. To me, that is such a magical, deeply human experience of shared community, shared space, liveness. It's so exciting to me. I really love theater. I love the power that theater has to let you just lose yourself completely. And it's not that that isn't possible in film. I really love working in film as well. It's a great challenge for me. It terrifies me to this day. I'm still getting used to cameras being around, which is very interesting for me. And also not using my face to the degree that I normally do, because sometimes on camera it's quite jarring. But I don't know, there's just something, I've said what the something is. I love theater. I love theater so much.
And what terrifies you about film?
I think for a long time going into film, I really had this idea in my head that I had to deliver, because it is there. It ends up becoming a physical product that will exist in some form forever.
Right.
Versus with theater, because you can, oftentimes with typical narrative structures, you can let it flow and just experience it as it happens. As an actor, it almost feels like you can experience theater more for yourself, and as your character, I think for me, it was very much you do the work before and then you throw the work away, versus in film, it feels like the work has to be a little bit more present, because you have to think about continuity a lot of the time, at least in the projects that I've worked in.
Yeah.
I know there are a lot of actors in Hollywood that talk about this a lot, and I think what people don't understand when certain film actors are talking about how, like, oh, I improvise every single take, I do a different thing every time. Those are the people that are allowed to do that.
Yeah.
Those are the people that have a reputation, that have the trust of their director, of their team. Maybe they don't, but they have a reputation that allows them to really continue to play. And I think sometimes people don't realize that, especially in Canada, that trust really isn't there with a lot of actors. So you're not always afforded the opportunity to play and experiment and try things different ways. The expectation is kind of, you come in knowing what you're going to do and you do it. And that wasn't really how I had approached acting. So it's been a really interesting reconfiguration of my process and brain to prepare for film as opposed to theater. But it still scares me half the time when I wake up to go to set. I have the thing in the morning where I'm so excited, and then I get really scared when I'm in the car, and then I go into my trailer and I can't eat anything, and I drink 27 coffees, which is not a good idea. Not a good idea.
Just shaking.
Yeah, and then I get on set and we do the read through or the run through, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't know any of my lines. And they go, Watson, you don't have any lines. And I go, I know, I'm a professional. And it just all feels very overwhelming.
Yeah.
But then we start, and it's easy to a degree.
Yeah.
Sometimes, not all the time. Sometimes.
Fair enough. Yeah, when you're talking, it's kind of like, I feel that way about like theater. It's like so nerve wracking, and then once you get out on stage, it's just like,
Yeah.
you know, you're just like, yes, this is what it feels like.
And with theater, I have my little routines. I have the little traditions and things that I do when I'm prepping to go on stage, between scenes, all of that. And I don't really have that yet.
What are
as
your
a
little
film actor.
theater routines?
I do a lot of music. I do very specifically, because I tend to be a movement-based actor, so there's a Laban technique exercise that involves music and matching character rhythm to it. So you'll normally find me in a quiet corner with my headphones in doing a whole bunch of funky physical stuff.
Nice.
But most of the time you have space to do that. And on film sets, you often don't.
Fair.
So I've tried to narrow down my other little practices for it, but yeah, it's a work in progress, and I think it always will be, and I think it should always be.
Yeah. Yeah. There's something weird about locking it in, being like, okay, this is it. Like, this is the prep. It's just kind of, I don't know. To me, in my head, it's like, no, always like add something, take away something, or I think it would depend on the project too.
Very much
on
so.
like what you would need. Yeah. Nice. So you do coaching as well, and dialect teaching, and all of these fun stuff. You're so creative in many, many, many forms.
I have many interests. I have so many interests, and when I run out of money to buy crafts, I just learn new skills. Like, that's really it.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I have no more space for fabric, for knitting material, for embroidery, for painting supplies, so I'm like, let's learn an accent.
You have over 12 accents that you have in your bag.
Yeah.
What was the term? It's like, because I'm just picturing on like casting websites where it's like beginner, expert, or whatever, but
Yeah.
yours in your bio was like
Certified to a native
there
standard.
there it is. Yes, absolutely.
Certified to a native standard.
Amazing.
Yeah.
How do you get that? Is that from school? And
Some of it, yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
There are other courses you can take as well. There are certain teachers that are able to give that. But for RP and General American in particular, you actually have the opportunity to do those examinations at Lambda.
Nice.
And that's like the one class that you take every single term, regardless of what program you're in, is dialect, specifically for RP. It's not like it is in North America where if you're a Canadian actor, you're doing a General American accent 99% of the time. Like, if you are a British actor or from the UK in general, you should know how to do an RP. But especially of late, there seems to be a lot more leeway for you to use your natural accent and regional accent, which
I've
is
noticed that.
very refreshing, very nice. We really need to work on that here.
yeah.
It's something I'm very conflicted about, being a dialect coach, because I love the possibility that understanding dialect and character voice can give you, in the way that understanding character body gives you a whole new view into who your character is and how they function in the world and how they experience things. It's the same thing with character voice. It can tell you a lot about who you are. I don't like the idea that you have to sound a certain way, because the audience will be freaked out if you sound a different way.
Right?
And I honestly think a big part of it too is, I think just politically and sociopolitically, we're in a very stressful time at the moment for a lot of people, and I think people are really afraid to offend someone accidentally.
Right.
So particularly with regional accents, there does tend to be so much stigma around certain accents, and if you
Yes.
do this accent as a character, what does it mean who are you, what negative stereotypes might we have against people with certain accents. And I think in North America, we're a little bit afraid of making certain choices, which is partially on the people creating the work, but is also partially the responsibility, and I would say to a greater degree, the responsibility of the actor as well. So the way that I teach dialects, I always start with a geographic and cultural examination of what the accent is and how it became what it is. So we do a lot of investigating the root of the accent and how it's changed over time, any code switching that might be involved in it, because, you know, especially in the southern states, a lot of people in larger cities no longer have a particularly apparent accent, but when they're speaking to people from their hometowns, their accent comes out because it's a comfort thing.
Yes, yes.
And we try to blend in with certain groups. So I love that part of acting, but especially of late, I've had a lot of people requesting accent reduction, which to each your own. If that is what you feel you need to thrive and be successful in your life, or having moved to Canada, whatever the reason is, do what you need to do. I like a world where everyone sounds the way they sound and has pieces of their heritage and their life and who they are and the imprints of every moment that they've experienced still being apparent in their voice.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, I had a guest on, Tony Ofori, who's...
I love Tony.
Yeah, I was talking about the same thing of, like, stop trying to beat the accent out of people. Like, it's the same thing with theater school of fitting into the one mold. If we get all fit into this one mold, our creative industry is going to be so boring. It's gonna be so, I don't know, it's just not gonna work. I think, I mean, I hope we know this, but like I think everybody's starting to catch up with it, of like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe we should. I think Canada has a problem. One of Canada's problems is that we don't know whether to copy like the US or the UK in like many things. But like, especially with the entertainment industry, we're like, oh no, we'll definitely copy, you know, everybody looks like a Barbie or whatever, like everybody's like a model if you're acting. Whereas I'm like, no, the UK, they all cast regular looking people, everybody, and now, like you said, more different accents and stuff like that. And it is really refreshing, and I really am enjoying that.
Well, and that's even part of the frustrating thing about the Canadian industry in general is, again, I think it goes back to that fear of making the wrong choice and therefore losing out on the opportunity that we have. Like, I really don't feel that there is much trust in Canadian actors or Canadian directors. It doesn't matter how much work is being brought here, we're not necessarily getting the opportunities that I do think, not even that we deserve or have earned to a degree, but there's no reason to not have trust in some of these people. But I think the powers that be in Canada are so afraid that if we do the wrong thing, we're going to lose those opportunities. But I think sometimes the question has to be, how much of an opportunity is it really? If it's not actually benefiting the people in the industry beyond one or two people, one or two shareholders, what is it actually benefiting? Why are we doing it? So, I mean, God forbid Canada creates its own industry and has its own ideals about what we're doing and takes some more risks in our filmmaking and
invest.
Just takes a risk. Does something worth doing, something really interesting, and takes a big swing. I think there's so much fear because we have so little funding in the industry. The fear is if we do the wrong thing, we're not going to get that funding again. But I think part of that, and this is again kind of the beauty of the UK industry and where they're at, and where I think the US industry is starting to follow again. I think they're starting to realize that the audience is smarter than they gave them credit for.
And I think it's just, we're tired of the recycled everything. The recycled stories, the recycled actors. Just this it's been the same for so long that I think everybody's starving for a switch.
100%.
So I think they're slowly waking up to it, and you can see it slowly happening. But I guess it's not happening as fast as everybody would like.
No, but I think that's also, again, I think it's really easy for audiences in particular to take for granted how long things take
Yeah.
in this freaking industry. Again, don't get me wrong with TV. Yeah, last year I filmed a TV series that we filmed September through December, and it premiered in January 2024. So that was a very quick turnaround. But when it comes to films, everyone talking about Wicked, and they're like, oh, baby Nessa Rose looks so much older. Yeah, because they filmed it 3 years ago, guys. They didn't do this 2 days ago, and now they're like, look at this incredibly technically difficult film.
Right.
It takes so long to do these things. So I think part of that shift really since lockdowns ended, I think, and since Warner Brothers realized like, oh, releasing movies actually makes us money, crazy. Barbie, what? I think people are starting to fall back into the train of, I say that, I did hear recently that some studios have apparently been releasing directives to writers saying we need to dumb down our scripts because audiences are on their phone while they're watching.
I've heard this with especially with I think it was TV series that they were pitching, and they're like, oh, sorry, this isn't B screen enough.
Yeah.
Like, as in they're going to be scrolling on their phone and you're giving too much information, too much material. It's too dense for people to, like, they're going to lose information. They're going to fall down. They're not going to know what's happening.
If they have
because
to visually
they're
see it.
scrolling.
Yeah.
Garbage. Like, that's so upsetting. And I'm guilty of it. Like, I think we've all done it.
Oh my God, yeah.
But that's so sad. That's so sad to me.
We are going to start seeing a change though, because 2025, we're 2 weeks in. Let's be honest, we're 2 weeks in.
Everybody calm down, we're 2 weeks.
It feels like this year in particular, a lot of people are trying to be more mindful in the way that technology is dominating their lives.
Yes.
Almost every single one of my friends, and it's a resolution, so we're gonna give up on them in like 2 months, you know?
100%.
But I feel like,
but we try.
Almost everyone I know this year, one of their big things is they want to cut down on the amount of screen time they have. They want to stop doom scrolling. They want to stop just being inundated by these negative emotions and negative things that are occurring all the time. It's important to be tuned in, but I think it just adds to the sensory overload that we're already experiencing to then when we do take in digital media, you just can't. You can't do it.
Yeah, and not to mention like the dopamine hit that you're just like continue, and then I'm like, I catch myself being like, oh, I haven't gotten the dopamine hit. Like I haven't seen the video that I wanted to see before bed tonight. You know, like it's really ridiculous and weird. Hot tip though, what I did is I moved, because my thumb knows where all the apps are that I want, so I moved the icon onto like a different page or just like in a separate box or whatever, so I now have to like take an extra second to think about clicking on Instagram or TikTok. Those are my two vices.
That's very smart.
So and then once I get into the habit of that, I'll switch it again. But hot tip, everybody.
It works. It works. It works. I'm trying really hard to, if I'm doing a task that doesn't involve my phone, I just put my phone in a different room now.
Yeah.
My best friend FaceTimes me every single day, and I'm pretty sure sometimes she thinks I'm dead, but because I just won't answer for 2 hours because my phone's in another room.
My phone's on silent all the time.
Yeah, silent,
People
do
are
not
like,
disturb.
yeah, exactly. And I'll be like, I don't know where my phone is. And my partner will be like, do you want me to call it? And I'm like, it's not gonna help.
Well, and then it also gives you that sneaky thing where when you're in the middle of doing something and you get a text and you don't want to answer it, I know you don't need to have an excuse, but I am a guilt-ridden human. I am so Canadian. So having the excuse of, oh my God, I'm so sorry, my phone was on Do Not Disturb, I missed it. Read receipts could never. It's so great. It's so good.
Right? Yeah. I actually kind of hate when they're like, yeah, this is red. And I'm like, leave me alone.
To any of my friends.
I hate accidentally marking it as red. And then I'm like, shit, now I do have to reply immediately. Because
it's the worst. I know. And then you don't realize that on WhatsApp, you've turned it off on normal, and then you don't have it on WhatsApp. Right. But to any of my friends watching or listening to this, I don't do that to you.
Not you. You're special.
You're the one I answer immediately.
So what is something that you would change about the Canadian industry if you could change anything? Just one. Just teasing. It could be a few.
Yes, I have a laundry list. I think the big thing is for everyone in every capacity to take the idea of how things are done out of your brain, calmly walk it to the nearest garbage disposal and put it in. Because things aren't done a specific way. And I think not every great piece of art, because a lot of great pieces of art are done a specific way, but a lot of really great art has come from people going, okay, well, this is what they're telling me to do, and this is what they're telling me is going to work, but that's not what I want to do. Even with writers, I work as a script editor as well. Half the writers I work with, their biggest concern is, but do you think someone will buy it? And financially,
is it marketable?
I get it. Economically, I get it. But that's why so many scripts are so bad, is because you're writing it for a function as opposed to for a story. And so I really wish, and it can't just be one person that changes, right? If Canadian writers just suddenly lose the plot and are like, I'm gonna write for myself, we're not gonna get any Canadian movies made. But I think if the shareholders involved, if the producers, if, we're starting to now, which I think is a good thing, enter into a world where we are having money come from private sources to fund filmmaking. That's fantastic. If you are a human being who is investing your personal money into making films for whatever reason, because you loved film, because you want the lifestyle, because you just think it's a cool thing to do, or you're bored with normal investments, thank you for your services. But if you're in it for the lifestyle, if you're in it to make a movie, my argument would be, what is the harm of taking a risk and possibly making something great instead of continuing to be the person who got a movie made? It is hard to make a movie, yeah. It's a lot harder to make a really great movie. And I think that's what we should be aspiring to. Not just, I want to sell my script, not just, I want to book a role. I think we all in the Canadian industry can't expect other people to hold us to a high standard unless we hold ourselves to a higher standard. From every level, though, every single level. Writers, actors, directors, producers, stop settling for what you're given. Take a risk on something. It might fail miserably. It probably will, in which case, good. At least you did something. At least you learned something. Best case scenario, you made the next The Room. Worst case scenario, you made The Room that nobody wants to watch because it's not even funny. But either way, you still did something. You're learning, you're growing, you're discovering who you are as an artist. Maybe you're getting valuable feedback. Maybe there's that one weirdo that really loved your movie. Make the movie for yourself to a degree. Don't forget there's an audience, because the audience is important. Don't forget that there are other people that can make your work successful. But if you're not making it for yourself, who are you making it for?
Yeah. So you edit scripts.
I do, yes, sometimes.
So it's a developmental and stylistic editor.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So editing can be broken down into a lot of different parts. When you get into copy editing, what you're doing specifically is looking at grammar, proper use of language, etc. It's really the nitty-gritty fine points. Structural editing is making sure that everything is laid out in a manner that makes sense for what you're trying to communicate. Stylistic editing is more to do with consistency of voice and tone.
Oh, okay, nice.
So I technically, if anyone's looking
kind
for
of
an
like
editor,
character-y.
Yeah, very much so. I do any type of editing that people want. I generally tell people, if you have a script, you don't need to pay someone to copy edit it, because half the scripts I get have mistakes in them and spelling errors, and that's okay. It's life. We're human. We make mistakes. But sometimes people will come to you, and if they're trying a new genre, or if they have a story, and I think this happens for most writers, it certainly happens to me when I write, you have a really solid base for your story, but it's finessing and massaging out certain details that becomes complicated. So what I do as an editor, what I like doing as an editor, is being the person that comes in and helps people go, okay, so here's what you're doing. How do we make this the best possible version of the story you are trying to tell? I love stylistic editing, because for me it's just a really fun challenge of figuring out with each individual writer, what is your style, what is your tone, who are you as a storyteller, and how do we make that pop? Maybe they've gotten notes back from a buyer, maybe they've gotten notes from a producer, maybe they've gotten feedback from an actor. How do you incorporate that without losing the soul of who you are as a writer, or whatever you have imbued in this script?
Nice. I like
Yeah,
that.
it's very fun.
That is fun.
It can be very fun. Sometimes it's very not fun. Because sometimes people write things and I go, that's crazy, don't do that. I don't say that. I'm very professional. Sometimes people write things and I go, why would you do that? And they go, because. And I go, think of something else. And they go, no. And I go, okay. And we move on. Because at the end of the day, my job as an editor is not to tell you how to write your script. It is to make the best possible suggestions I can make based off my own experiences as a writer, as an artist, as a human, as someone who reads a lot, and hope that they align with what it is you're trying to do. But I always tell everyone that comes to me to work with me, like, talk to different editors. Don't just hire someone because you heard they were good for one person.
Right.
See if they have a specialization. See if there's a genre that they thrive in. Do a trial with them where maybe instead of getting them to do a full edit, get them to write coverage on your piece or something. See what you can do to make sure that they are the right editor, not just for the project, but for you as a writer before you move forward working with them. And I tell everyone, take every single note I give you with a grain of salt. If there is something that I'm very firm on, I will let you know. But if there isn't a note attached to it that is telling you exactly why this is such an important change to make, you don't have to make the change if you don't want to.
Yeah.
I just want you to think about it.
Nice. I like that. That's a lot of fun. When you're editing scripts, what are some common mistakes that you see writers making?
It's not so much a mistake as it is, I don't know, wishful thinking to a degree. A lot of the time I get writers that want to write a certain type of work because they think it's what will sell, and it's not actually what they want or need to write. So the number, especially with horror films, oh my God, the number of people that send me horror scripts that talk about how it's an A24 style elevated script, and no, it's not. It's a gory slash fest, and it's beautiful, and I love it, but you're trying to sell it to people, marketing it incorrectly. That's a killer for your script. If you can't actually describe to someone what your script is, how on earth are they going to trust you enough to buy it?
Yeah.
So I think it's really important for writers to be really honest with themselves. And this is why I say write for yourself. Make the movie you want to make, because if you thrive making, horror comedies that involve fountains of blood and a bunch of gore, write that. Write the best possible version of that for yourself. Don't try to be Ari Aster if you are not. Be who you are. Write what you want to write, because I think it makes buyers, producers, etc. lose faith in you as a writer when you don't actually understand what you're selling, when you're the person who wrote it.
Yeah.
And I run into that a lot. And you can't blame writers. I think it's very difficult in the industry because everything has become so trend-based in the way that it has on social media. I mean, we're in the Monsterverse right now. We came out of we're still kind of in the Marvelverse, but we're kind of exiting that era where everything had to be a really big, splashy, action-packed superhero movie. It had to be that type of blockbuster for it to get that level of funding. Now we want stylized remakes, but intelligent remakes with new perspectives that are and so everyone is kind of trying to pigeonhole into that. Or, with Midsommar, Hereditary, those types of films, people are thinking that that's all audiences want because those things were successful. But the reason a lot of the time those things are so successful is because they're different.
Yes.
And we're in a lot of danger all the time of going, oh, well, this is what audiences like right now, so let's jump on that bandwagon. Because trends change every 6 months. And probably by the time your movie's out, the audience is going to be really bored of that. So just write what you want to write.
Yeah, 100%.
And if you have money to produce these things, just think outside the box. There's also a huge issue in Canada too, where everyone, I think, kind of rightly believes that you need to have a celebrity or a name to get a certain level of funding. But I think that's also people being very uncreative with where they're getting funding from. I think that's a bit of an issue, but also, I know enough people that have gotten films on the go, they've gotten producers, they've gotten stars' names attached, and their movies still don't get made. So you can secure Christoph Waltz for your movie. Great. Doesn't mean your movie's getting made.
Yeah.
Hugh Jackman can want us to, he'd probably get it made. I don't know, someone slightly smaller than that. I don't even know who I can think of now. You can get a named actor to star in your film, but that's still not a guarantee that your film's going to go anywhere.
Yeah, that's true. It's very true. What are some creative creative ways that people can fund their film?
I think we've really shied away from things like GoFundMe.
Yeah.
And I don't think crowdfunding films is for everyone. I do think it should be certain types of projects. I also don't think crowdfunding is the way to go if you're trying to make a film for $40 million. Maybe set your sights a little bit lower. But I think, and I think on the production end too, certain production houses and studios are not necessarily willing to be involved in a production where there's 15 producers, which is often how you make these larger budget films.
Right.
So I think, again, the onus is kind of on everyone to take some risks. See what can happen, see where you can get private funding sources, apply for grants, collaborate with artists from other countries to kind of make a co-production between those countries and see what funding is available there.
That's smart.
There's a lot of different ways that you can find funding for your film. I do also think, you know, in this economy, especially, things are very expensive. It's very difficult. Reach out to your network. Value your network, treat your network with respect and kindness, support their projects. There are too many people that are very willing to ask you for a favor and then never support anything you do.
Yeah.
Show up for other people. Be everyone else's biggest cheerleader. Let them be a cheerleader for you. You don't need $100 million to make a movie. You don't need $50 million to make a movie. You don't need $10 million to make a movie. If you can get $50,000 to make a movie, do it. I have seen some spectacular movies that have had really good actors in them that were made with no money. It's not impossible, but I think, again, we kind of fall into this trap of thinking, okay, well, this film did really well, and like, look at how beautiful the cinematography was. They must have had a huge budget. Look at all their special effects. I have a friend who's a filmmaker who his first film, he did all the special effects himself. And you would never know from watching it. Take the time, learn the skill, take your time with your project. Don't feel like because you have a good idea that you have to get it out the door in the next 5 days or 5 minutes. I mean, one of my favorite examples is Jojo Rabbit. That film took Taika Waititi 10 years to get off the ground because of the change he wanted to make to the script, which was he wanted to add the character of Hitler as an imaginary friend. And everyone went, no, that's not allowed.
Yeah.
We can't add Hitler as an imaginary, no. And that is really, I mean, that movie's a beautiful movie, but that was such a bold choice that paid off in such an effective, beautiful way. It took 10 years for that to happen.
That's nuts.
So I think a couple things have to happen. I do think we have to be in the long game when it comes to our personal experiences and how we approach the industry, when it comes to what we do with our work. I think playing the long game is really important for a lot of people. And because the industry is so difficult, especially financially for so many people, I think everyone gets really stuck in this idea of I have to hit it big immediately or I won't be able to get anywhere because I'll run out of money.
Yeah.
It's hard to hustle. It's hard to work every single day. I'm not encouraging anyone to, you know, take themselves so far that they can't get themselves back. I'm not encouraging anyone to hurt themselves living a certain lifestyle, trying to achieve what they want to achieve. But if you need, like, yeah, we all want to be the person who is an actor who works 2 days a week and the rest of the week gets to go to yoga class and do vocal exercises and take piano lessons. That's not how the world is right now. And we can complain about it a lot. I do. God knows I do. Talk to my friends. I complain about it constantly. Toronto's TTC, I will complain about it to you for hours.
Every day.
Hours. I could write a 50-minute stand-up set on that alone. But I think it's really important to, you know, if what you need is a side hustle or something else, or to take that bartending job or to work that serving gig, if you're afraid of what people are going to think of you and how they judge you as an actor, then like you're not going to take risks in anything else if you're not even willing for that.
Yeah.
How are you going to be an actor who makes bold choices and takes risks if you care about how other people perceive you in that way? You're not going to be able to. So if what you have to do is, spend 20 years working on your passion project while you serve on the side, do it. If it's worth it to you, do it. If it's not worth it to you, keep that in mind. That doesn't make you a bad person. That doesn't make you less valid as an artist. This is something I'm so passionate about. We've created a really toxic sort of bubble in the industry where I talk about this so much with people. As an artist, the worst thing you can do is something else. If you decide to pivot, if you decide that art isn't fulfilling you in the way that you wanted it to, God forbid you get into the industry and you realize you don't actually like it. The worst thing you can do is leave the industry because, you just didn't try hard enough. You just didn't believe in yourself enough. If you just waited, you gave up on yourself too quickly. And I hear it from coaches, I hear it from other actors, I hear it from producers, I hear it from everyone. People going, it's such a shame. They were so close to getting there. Maybe they didn't want to get there anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe they wanted to do something else. Maybe this was no longer tenable or worth it or bringing them the satisfaction and joy and passion. Because I think at the core, that's why artists do what they do, is because what we do makes us feel something. If what you're doing isn't making you feel anything anymore, why are you doing it? You're not a martyr. Don't martyr yourself in that way. But if you are able to stick in it for the long haul, accept that you are probably not going to be successful right away. In fact, you're not going to be successful right away. I know some people are. Pretend they don't exist. The exception to the rule is not the exception to the rule. Or it's not the rule, okay? They're the exception for a reason. If you can stomach it, do it. But be okay that it's gonna take a while.
Yeah. Yeah, long ass while, everybody. But you're so right. I've even been guilty of it, so sad for them. They've given up, or they're pivoting. That's not what they really wanted to do, that kind of thing. And it's even doing this podcast. Sometimes I'm like, but I'm not acting. And I'm like it's stupid because it doesn't matter. It brings you joy.
Most of us aren't.
Yeah.
I'm currently not acting.
Yeah.
I have an episode of his TV show that just came out. I am currently at this very moment not acting. Doesn't mean I'm not an actor. Doesn't mean I wasn't an actor. Doesn't mean I'm not going to be an actor. But and I do think it is circumstantial because, I personally have friends that have been very harmed by this industry and very harmed by certain people in this industry, by certain experiences they've had. And what they do want is to be an actor. But the way the industry currently operates is not allowing them to be an actor in a way that serves them or is healthy for them.
Yes.
And in those circumstances, it is incredibly sad. But I don't think it's super helpful for the rest of us to, I think those are the moments where you need to listen to those people and lead by what support they need. And I have personally found that more often than not, that support needs to be, hey, do what you need to do. The industry will still be here if you choose to come back.
Always, yeah. 100%.
And we've got these timelines too that, I think for a long time we're very fair, especially for women, especially for people of color, especially for anyone marginalized. I think for a very long time, there was a time limit you had to do certain things, and there still are. I know of casting directors in this city that are fully well, if you turn 30 as a woman and you haven't been in anything, then
Yeah.
That still happens. That is extremely problematic. But more often than not now, the whole thing about women over 50, it's their comeback, that's stupid. For anyone else, it's just another day. But for Demi Moore, it's a comeback. No, she's always been amazing.
Right.
You can come back whenever. Because art is about telling stories. Art is about community and connecting with people. And just because you're a certain age doesn't mean you can't connect with people anymore, you can't relate to people anymore, that people aren't going to be interested in your story.
Yeah, 100%.
It is very easy for me to say these things and wax poetic about it. At the end of the day, if you have money, please invest in the arts and put some faith in artists. A lot of us, not all of us, some people do this just because they want to do a thing and see their face on a thing, and that's fine. A lot of us do this because it's something we are so passionate about and care about so deeply and care about the way that stories are told. It's worth investing in.
I'm making that a reel.
Yeah. Perfect.
I love it. And now on to The Way Home.
The Way
Tell
Home.
me everything about The Way Home.
It is such a beautiful set to be on and such a wonderful production to be part of. I feel so lucky to be a part of that show. I think most actors have experienced when you book a role and you show up on set and they're like, we're like a family, and then they're not. Everyone hates each other. Everyone's talking about each other.
Yes.
This was a set where I showed up and they went, we're like a family. And I went, yeah, sure. And they are. They really are.
Love.
They are such a family unit. The showrunners, the creator of the show, Heather, Alex, and Marley, they are such kind, wonderful women. They care so much about each other. They care so much about their actors. They care so much about these characters. And this, for a Hallmark show in particular, they're tackling some topics with a deal of nuance that I don't think people expect from Hallmark, but Hallmark is very capable of. And so this is kind of a new venture for them. So this character in particular, she is a queer woman living in the 1800s, but she doesn't have the language to identify as such. And the love she has for another character in this show, it's almost not quantifiable, because it is a romantic love, but it's also not. It's also such a friendship-based love. It's a deep well of admiration, almost a healthy fear of. Susanna is very much a woman who was born in the wrong time. She writes, she paints, she does all of these amazing things. She's a healer. Everyone's terrified of her because they think she's a witch, which, yeah, love that for us. But really deep down, she is someone who is really searching to be understood and to connect with someone. And meeting this woman who is from 200 years in the future, she just gets her. She understands her. I think she wants, to a degree, to be her, to have the opportunity she has, but to also approach things and handle things the way that she does. So it's one of those relationships that is so rewarding to explore as an actor, because love in particular is something that I think people really paint in black or white. But love is a spectrum. It can be so many things. And so for this character, it's really given me an opportunity to explore this really beautiful, wholesome connection that you don't often get to explore as an actor.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, I love the way that they've written her. I mean, the show is it's such a fun show. It's so well conceived, and the writers are so smart. The fans are so dedicated to it and they love it. And sometimes I go through and I read the comments and I want to tell them, you've been watching for 2 seasons. Just trust the writers. Just trust them. Because anytime anything happens, the people go, oh, I hope this isn't what they're doing. I'm like, just wait and see.
Hold on.
These people's brains are incredible. Like everything is going to get tied back together in a very, I found, satisfying way. But it's really a production that I'm so grateful to be in. I've gotten to work with some really, really incredible actors, some really incredible directors, crew members that are fantastic. Our production designer, Rupert Lazarus, is just one of the kindest people and an incredible, incredible designer. Gotten to work with some of my heroes, Stuart Hughes, an incredible Toronto theater actor I didn't know that I would ever get to work with, and he gets to play my future father-in-law. I was engaged to his son for certain purposes, nothing weird. Queer woman, marriage of convenience, friendship, it's fine. But getting to work with him and, even when we're not actually on set filming, talk with him and hear about his process and his family and his life and the way that he perceives the industry and art. It's been such a gratifying experience as an actor. And I can say, as much as I just ranted and raved about how no one trusts anyone, it is really a set where they do actually trust their actors.
Nice.
They trust their actors a lot. They let us make choices. They welcome feedback. There have been moments in the show where different people have said, I don't know if this is how my character would react. And they're always so open to conversations about those things. It's really a really wonderful set to be on.
Amazing.
And I can't wait to see what they're doing this season.
Yee, so exciting.
Yeah, it's such an exciting show just because every single episode ends with a cliffhanger. Every single episode. And that show in particular, because it's a mystery, the writers are really careful too with what scripts you get to see.
Ooh.
So in season 2, I didn't get to read the episode 1 script because I was not in episode 1.
Oh.
And now in season 3, I was in episode 1. I'm really excited to find out what happens.
Ooh, so fun.
I don't know. Yeah, so it's gonna be really good.
I love. Who's your agent? I should tell you to shout out your agent.
I am with the incredible Julia at Ambition. Ambition really functions as a team, so Julia is my point. She's amazing. When I had my meeting with her, I told her, I was like, I don't need my agent to be my friend. I just need an agent who really believes in me and is a little crazy, because I'm a little crazy. And I think I need an agent who goes, I see you're crazy and I appreciate you're crazy and I will be crazy with you. But I specifically told her I don't need my agent to be my friend. And now I just want to be her friend so bad because she's so cool. She always has the best outfits. Every time I run into her or we meet up, I'm like, oh, girl, you look amazing. Love Julia. But Megan also works on my account. Sanj works on my account. David occasionally. So really Ambition functions very much as a team.
Nice.
So part of the Ambition team, but Julia Schneider is my point person and I am obsessed with her. Don't tell her. She knows. She's aware.
She's so aware.
She's so aware.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's amazing, though.
Yeah.
That's so nice.
They're such a good team.
How long have you been with them?
I've been with them since May last year.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
and what made you choose them when you were doing your meeting?
I knew I had a couple different agents that I was interested in. The one thing, and this wasn't the hill I was going to die on, I just had a feeling about it. I knew I wanted to be represented by a woman.
Yeah.
And I think if the right if the right male agent had come in and been like, yeah, I see what you're saying, I get what you want, I'm willing to work with you on that, I think I would have been a little bit less picky about that, but I really prioritized most of the agents I met with were women. And there were a couple of them that immediately I was like, okay, I know this isn't the right partnership for me.
Right.
But meeting Julia, she's hungry, she's really driven, she's so smart. And she was very much someone who I said, look, I know on paper this is who it looks like I am as an actor, but I'm telling you this is who I am as an actor. And she was really the only agent I met with who went, yeah, I get that, I can see that.
Nice.
Her and Megan was in on that interview as well. Megan is the head of their theater department there.
Nice.
And she was in on that interview as well, which with my theater background, that was really lovely having her in the room and working with her now. But the two of them really, because again, I think, and this happens with all actors, and especially again with any actor who's marginalized in any way, the industry will put you in a box. And sometimes that box isn't who you are. And sometimes that box can be as simple as, hey, you're a somewhat attractive white woman, you're going to be the lead in Hallmark movies. And sometimes those aren't the things that you as an artist want to be doing, or people telling you, hey, you're really funny, you're a great comic actor. I think it's again, it's an act of bravery. It's a risk for an agent to look at an actor and go, Kate, based on everything I can visually at this moment see about you and what your resume says, I think I know who you are, but you're telling me that this is who you are, prove it.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah.
They're a really great agency. I've really enjoyed working with them and will continue to.
Amazing. Love.
Yeah, I'm very lucky.
Was the audition process for The Way Home pretty standard, or was it like a process? Did you have to many callbacks or just one callback?
It was just one callback, and the callback was actually just a chemistry read.
Nice.
This character, Susanna, they'd been looking for her for a while. I think the breakdown that I was submitted for was the third or fourth breakdown for the character.
Okay.
A lot of the show has to do with casting physical matches, and my character was one of the rare exceptions. Because of the time travel element in season 1 in particular, a lot of the cast was the younger version of people that were established in the show. The 1800s were far enough back that we're all completely new characters who still have ties, but there doesn't have to be a physical match. But I think there was something really particular they were looking for about the character's presence. And coming from a classical theater background in particular, even things like wearing a corset. I'm used to wearing a corset. I have a classical theater degree from an acting school in England. I had to wear a corset a lot. We did historical dance, certain manners, mannerisms, vocal tics, cues, etc., language. Those were all things I already had experience with. But also, and I think more importantly, that character really just felt like me. And in a way that was comfortable for me as an actor, because I consider myself more of a character actor. I don't really like playing characters that are very similar to myself, but the mere fact that she was in the 1800s added such a difference in terms of her mannerisms, her manners, etc., that it was a really exciting opportunity for me to play a character who I felt like I so deeply understood, but still had to physically and vocally discover.
Nice. I love that.
Yeah, so I did the initial audition. My coach came over, helped me film it, which was amazing, and sent that one off. And then a week and a half later, they called and told me I had a chemistry read, and the chemistry read was 2 days later. So this all happened in about 2 weeks.
Wow.
And the chemistry read was the night before I was supposed to be leaving to go on my best friend's bachelorette trip.
Ooh.
So we were all like staying over at someone's house. We were supposed to wake up in the morning at 6 a.m. and go to Montreal, and we all got up at 6 a.m. because my agent at the time had called me the night before and gone, if you book it, you have to be here tomorrow. So my plan was basically everyone got up at 6, they all got in the car and went to Montreal. I got in an Uber and went home.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
If I didn't book it, because that was also Labor Day weekend, so it was a long weekend. So they told me for sure I would know that Friday.
Right.
The plan was if I found out by midday, I was going to take the train up to Montreal and go party. But luckily they called me at 9 a.m. to tell me that I booked it.
Amazing.
Yeah, but then there was horse riding lessons. I had fittings right away. My first day on set was about a week later.
Wow.
So my whole process for that role was in total about 3 weeks, versus one of the other actors in that time period. He plays Thomas Coyle, who is one of the other characters in the 1800s. He had, I think, auditioned 4 months before, 5 months before, had booked it already. Like he
Lots
was
of horse
already,
lessons.
yeah. Well, he didn't even need to be on the horse, and he is actually, like, he rides a horse. He lives in the country, he rides horses.
Okay.
This gal had to get on a horse. They were like, so when was the last time? I went, I think I was maybe 6.
That's
At
hilarious.
a friend's birthday party.
And they were okay with it? You were
Yeah.
just like, yeah, I'll take lessons. They were like, great.
Well, and they set me up. They sent me out to a farm,
Amazing.
got me used to the wranglers and the team that we had working with the horses there. So I got to rehearse the very specific movements, got to get used to the horse that I was going to be on, all of that. So they
nice.
made
Okay.
sure that it was a comfortable opportunity for me. I did have a stunt double who was an equestrian. That was her, like, she is an equestrian.
That's
and
amazing.
she definitely did some of the horse stunts for that. Because the first scene I'm on the horse, I gallop in on the horse, turn in a tight circle around 2 people that are fighting, pull one of them onto the horse, and then gallop out. And I had 1 horse lesson. So I was like, so Jenny.
So maybe not today, but like.
Yeah, Jenny's gonna do that one. Okay, because
I appreciate the faith that you have in me.
I do not share that faith.
Yeah, exactly.
At all. I'll do it if we can, like, trot.
Yeah.
And we did do the take where we trotted.
Excellent.
We did a trot take because that's the take where you see my face. But the tight circle gallop was not me. I mean, movie magic. It was me. Sorry, sorry.
Yes, it was.
To any producers or casting who are watching this, I am a very skilled horsewoman. I am a Sagittarius, practically half horse. You know? If you're casting anything where you need someone on a horse, I am available.
Yeah.
And I apparently have an adrenaline junkie issue.
And the phone number of a stunt double.
Yes. More importantly, I know someone about the same height, who can rock a wig, who's very good at horses. Because while I don't necessarily care about my own life in those circumstances, I really don't want to trample anyone.
Yeah, that's fair. I didn't even think about that option.
Yeah,
That's
not
nuts.
ideal. I'm pretty sure Kyler, the other actress that I was trying to pull onto the horse, I don't think she would have loved being trampled.
So yeah, ideally no.
She had enough onset injuries, but I don't think she needed that one.
Could do without.
Yeah,
do without.
yeah.
That's amazing. What's your biggest takeaway from working on The Way Home?
Ooh, my biggest takeaway is that as an actor, especially an actor playing a very intelligent character, sometimes you have to be okay with not knowing the answers. And especially because the show is a mystery, I was ravenous. Every time I got a script, I read it instantly. The second it was in my inbox, it didn't matter where I was like, no one talked to me, I need to go read this. I would go read, I took notes, I had different colored sticky notes so I could track all the different mysteries, even in the different eras, because I wanted to know. But because you get the episodes as they come, you're making choices without knowing what is going to happen in the future. Because that's how life works. Because you can't see into the future and go, oh, this is going to happen, so I should do this thing.
Act accordingly
You
this way.
can try, but
Yeah.
that's not how life works.
Yeah.
And it took a good month of me being on that show to feel comfortable in being okay not knowing what I was doing.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I've had other actors talk to me since then because that was my first recurring role in a show. I've had a lot of actors now that have come to me who have booked recurring roles and asked, like, I've only got this one episode and I've only got one line in it and I don't know how to play because I don't know who my character is. And the advice I give them every time is make a choice. If it's wrong, find a way to justify it later. Was your character putting on a pretense? Were they behaving this way for this particular person, for this particular moment? Maybe it turns out they were tricking someone. Whatever information it is, trust that you are smart enough and adequate enough and creative enough that you will make it work based off what you've already offered. Make the choice. Be strong, be wrong. Who cares? Figure out a way to justify it later. Play what's truthful in the moment, though. Don't try to play what's truthful for what's coming because you don't, or you know, your character doesn't know. So that was a really big takeaway for me because I always want to know. I want to know everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then even things popped up in the season where I was like, oh, okay, didn't know that was gonna happen. And that's good though, and it challenges you as an actor. Because again, I think coming from a theater background, that's something that I can take for granted sometimes. Because when you're in a theater, you should know, you know what's happening. You probably know the whole history of the play. Maybe you're working with a dramaturg, who's to say? But you know the lore of what you're doing when it comes to a show. And with these showrunners in particular, everything has meaning. Everything. And sometimes you're just not gonna know what something's leading to, and that's okay.
Yeah, like be strong, be wrong.
Be strong, be wrong. What's the worst thing that can happen?
Tattoo that on my face.
Honestly, I have a friend that has "fail better" tattooed on their kneecaps, and I want that so bad, but I can't because they haven't. But like, oh, I want it. Fail better, be strong, be wrong. On my knuckles. Perfect. I am not cool enough for those tattoos. Oh my god.
That's hilarious. My tattoo ideas are always ridiculous. Like I want the word thirst on my trap. Just for
No, but I want that for you. That's so funny.
And this not caring what people think, was that early on in your career early on in your life? Were you born this way?
Yeah, if only. I wish. It's an ever-evolving process. We've gotten there as an actor. We have not gotten there as a human at all.
Okay.
There are certain things in life where I really don't care about what people think, and there are other things in life where I care so much what everyone thinks.
That's so fair.
Yeah, my writing in particular, I'm also a writer, and I still run up against that imposter syndrome and roadblock of, especially because I do so much editing. I, last year in particular, really worked myself into a corner where I convinced myself I was only good at collaborating. And I wasn't actually good at executing my own ideas. And as soon as I realized that was what was happening, it was pretty easy to tell myself that's silly and not true.
Yeah.
But actually putting that into practice requires being much more intentional with yourself, which I was not ready to do at that point and am still working on at the moment. For me as an actor, there was a really specific moment that happened, and I do very much have one person to thank for it. When I was in my master's degree, the heads of department every term would sit each student down one-to-one and give them a tutorial where they would just tell us how we were doing, if there were things we needed to work on, because that acting conservatory doesn't do grades. They don't do that. You don't get an A, a B, whatever. It's just, you should work on this. Here's what you're doing really well. And I was one of the youngest people in my class. I was only 22 when I started my master's. The average age in my class was 27. So I was already dealing with, there were certain voices in the class that were like, these people fresh out of their undergrad don't deserve to be here. This is a program for professional actors. Why are you here? My acting tutorial and my voice tutorial went amazingly well, like so well. I was on cloud nine. I was like, I am the best 22-year-old actor in the school. And then I went to my movement tutorial, and this was probably the hardest thing I've heard from another person, but really a game changer for my life. My one physical movement teacher, Vincent Manna, he sat me down and he very gently told me, I need you to go home over the winter break and I need you to think about if you can do this, if you actually want to be an actor. And he brought up, there was one exercise we'd done in class called the 5 rhythms. And the 5 rhythms, if you haven't tried it as an actor, I highly recommend it. It is exhausting and terrifying and brutal, but really great. Essentially, you are invited to explore 5 different internal rhythms through a combination of music and physical movement. So it typically takes place with a soundtrack that has these almost acts of music in a particular tone that you move intuitively to. And as it changes, you experience these 5 rhythms. And my experience when we did it in my class, we did it for an hour solid, so 60 minutes nonstop movement. By the end of it, 90% of us were in tears on the ground, not because something traumatic had happened, but because you experience so much. And he told me when we did that exercise, in the first 10 or 15 minutes, he counted the number of times that I looked at him. Damn. And he lost track after like 40.
No
and
way.
He was
just to be like, am I doing this right?
Exactly.
I do that all the time.
Exactly. And he told me, he was like, the level that you are trying to get to and what you are trying to do as an artist and what you're telling us you want to do, if that is going to be an issue, if you need that validation from people, you're not going to be able to do this. Like, it is going to kill you.
Yeah,
and I
true.
Did not know how badly I needed to hear that. I needed to hear that so badly. And I think that, for me, has really been an ongoing struggle through my career of not letting myself be so precious about things. And I think it's because deep down, I am a perfectionist. I am such a perfectionist. If again, I do crafts and art and stuff. If I make something and it is not perfect, it will bother me forever. And I'm still very much working on allowing things to be imperfect, because what drives me crazy about it is perfection isn't real. And it's antithetical to humanity. Humans are not perfect. We will never be perfect. We have never been perfect. Nature isn't perfect. Things are imperfect. So the pursuit of perfection is kind of ridiculous. And I think for such a long time, I just wanted to be so good at acting. I wanted to be undeniable because I thought that was the only way I could be successful. I removed some of the humanity that I was bringing to characters because I was really trying to perform an end result as opposed to enjoying the process. And in that moment, I realized I was more concerned about this man looking at me and thinking I was graceful and thinking I was doing a good job and going, ooh, Watson's really exploring that rhythm very well. Good for her. What an accomplished actress. I really see something in her. I was so focused on that. I didn't actually allow myself to experience the first 2 acts of the 5 rhythms. I only let myself experience 3 of them. So I didn't get the full experience and result of that process. And then, coming back to Toronto, I really was on cloud 9 of who I was as an artist, and then I kind of fell back into a trap for a number of different reasons. Everyone will tell you you shouldn't want my validation, but then they do things to make you feel like you have to have their validation, which is very backwards to me. And I fell so quickly back into that trap of going, oh, well, I don't care what anyone thinks about me except this one person, because they keep saying that thing to like remind me that I should care about what they think. And every time I am successful, they say the one thing to knock me down, to make sure I'm still seeking their validation. And it took me, I would say, until last year, really last year, to stop caring again. Because, and I cannot stress this enough, art is subjective. And there are some people, I have friends who, there's maybe a parent in their life, a loved one in their life who doesn't get it, who doesn't appreciate it, and their only desire is for that person to say, I'm proud of you, and that person's probably ever not going to. And so the message I always give them is, you should want to be proud of yourself. You shouldn't want someone who fundamentally does not care about this part of your life to care about it, because you're making them. Either they're going to care about it or they're not. If they don't care about it, I wish they would change and would care about the things that you value. I hope you have other people in your life that do, but don't put people on a pedestal so you are trying so hard to validate them that you stop actually experiencing the art, the process, the character, and everything that comes with it. Again, I know people that are amazing artists that will fully live the process. They'll do the whole thing. And then it comes out and the experience is ruined because they're waiting for that one person to go, wow, I'm so proud of you. And if you let it become about that validation, again, that's going to be the thing that crushes you. And that conversation that I had with that, to bring it back to what we were talking about, that conversation with that tutor, that was all it was. There was no greater conversation than that. He said what he needed to say. That was what he said. I went, okay. I walked back into the hallway. I burst into tears. I went home.
Did you cry?
I cried for like 7 days. Oh yeah. I questioned every choice I'd ever made. I went, I should have gone to Carleton for journalism. Everything happened. I went home. My parents were like, how's theater school? And I was like, it's great. It's amazing. But
loving every second.
Well, to give the opposite experience of that, when I auditioned for Lambda, I auditioned out in San Francisco because the only places close, I was in Edmonton at the time, and the only place in Canada they hold auditions is Toronto. So I figured it's gonna cost the same for me to go to San Francisco for a week and audition there. So I did that. And the day my flight landed, I had bronchitis. I got bronchitis. I had no voice. I sounded like crap. My boyfriend at the time had also broken up with me in like the worst possible way about a week before.
Of course.
And I got to San Francisco, realized I had no voice, and I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna get into this school. I have no voice. I can't do the thing I came here to do. They're not gonna accept me into this 1-year master's degree program. Like, that's not gonna happen. So you know what? I'm just gonna have a good time. I'm gonna be really nice. Showed up an hour early. I like chatted with everyone that was in the waiting room. I went barefoot. I wore a pair of like ripped tights, an old as hell red t-shirt. I went in, the first thing that happened, the head of the drama program realized I was sick, went and made me tea. Came back, I did my pieces, we just sat, we ended up chatting for like 40 minutes. When he called me to tell me I got into the school, he told me that my contemporary monologue was the best he'd ever seen. Aww. And the only reason that happened is because I stopped letting myself think about the result of I'm gonna get into the school because I'm gonna be so good, and I let myself tell the story. I just let myself tell the story. That was so cute. All it was. And so I'm kind of, as an actor, I'm always trying to recapture that. Just tell the story. Just experience the moment, experience the truth of it. Don't worry about the final product, because it's probably not going to be what you think it's going to be.
Yeah, legit, all the time. Yeah.
Pays to not care so much what people think about you.
Yeah.
But, it's an ongoing process because it's hard. I'm meeting new artists that I really respect that are like, oh, I want to see your work. And I'm so scared to show them my work. But you work through it every day and you do what you can, and that's it.
Amazing. I love that story. That was great. That was like the best 10 minutes of therapy I've ever done. I'm so glad. That was so good. I love that. Yeah. Oh my God. I'm going to I can't wait to rewatch that. I can't wait to rewatch it and be like, yes, absorb all of it. Absorb it. Absorb it.
I mean, I had another tutor at Lambda who that same round of tutorials, he went, you know, when I first saw you, I thought you were going to be a terrible actor because, I mean, look at you. I thought you were going to be a bit of a cunt. And I was like, 22-year-old me was like, what?
I would have been like, a bit.
Did you just say I look like a what? So that was another tutorial. And then he was like, you might be the first real actor we've had here in ages. And I was like, oh my God, amazing. And then I left and I was like, what? Was he just fucking with me? What just happened? And he was. He was.
Way.
He was testing me. That's why he gave me a big compliment that he didn't mean, and then a big insult he also didn't mean. He's a little sociopath.
What kind of test is this?
It wasn't.
Just to see if you like cry immediately?
No, he just wanted to see if he could like push me and actually make me flexible and adapt. And the final show I was in that year was directed by that teacher. And he put me in a role that no one else wanted me to be in. And it was the most challenging role I've ever played. And I am so grateful he cast me in that.
Nice.
Because he really pushed me as an actor to be disgusting.
Ooh.
And again, that was just something I really needed then.
Yeah, especially as like a perfectionist
Yeah.
too. Be messy.
Be horribly messy.
Ooh, I love.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
My final question for you.
Yeah.
What is something that you would tell your younger self when you're starting out?
I would definitely tell my younger self, stop worrying so much about other people. That really goes along with what I was saying. When I was younger, I felt like I really easily got validation from people in positions of power, but as a result, I didn't get any validation from my peers. And so as a young actor, for a while, especially my teenage years, I was really, really chasing being really good friends with other actors, because I saw people that would show up to all their friends' plays and after be like, oh my God, you were amazing. And I tended to have the people that would come and be like, yeah, you were good. And I knew it was because I had always had a harder time making friends. I'm extremely opinionated. I am, again, if you give me something to talk about, I will talk about it. And if I don't have an opinion, I'll do some research and I will make an opinion about it. I've always been that person, and that is quite grating, and that can be extremely annoying. So I get it, but I spent a lot of time trying so hard to fit in with who I perceived as being the cool people. And I still do to a degree. There are certain actors in the city that I see with these groups of friends, and I'm like, how do I become friends with that person? And then I realize I don't actually care that much, because they might be a really cool person, and that's great, and if that organically happens, amazing. But I was really obsessed with fitting into certain cliques because that was what I thought would validate me, was being respected by my peers. And so I would definitely go back and tell little Watson, like, hey, just keep doing what you're doing, listening to the notes that you're getting, keep trying to tell every story you tell in the most authentic way possible, make bold choices, make big swings, and if other people don't like it, it's not a condemnation of who you are as an artist or a person. Art is subjective. Perfection doesn't exist. Just do your thing.
Nice, amazing. I love that. Well, thank you so much for
Thank you.
being on my podcast.
This was so nice.
It was so nice. This is
great.
fantastic. Thank you so much for watching this interview. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and I will see you in the next interview.